Hey everyone, how is it going? I'm just going to make sure that I go and tweet. That'll do. And I suppose I should probably post it on eToro. So let's do that. But I have to change the link because eToro is not as smart. It should detect that. Let's see if it posts it or not. Smiley face on eToro. More friendly community than Twitter, famously. That's a lie. I get a lot more hate on eToro than I do on Twitter. Okay. Yeah, someone do a test question. Even if you don't actually have a question to ask, do a test question with the form. And let me know if that's easier or harder or whatever. It would be interesting to get some feedback on it. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Caught the bottom of that nicely. Like it wasn't a big gain on Twitter there, but I caught the bottom of it really nicely. So far, nobody has submitted a question, so I'm very sad. Yeah, let's take a quick look through the portfolio, and we'll take a look at a few charts. Oh, the eToro community has its pros and its cons. I would say it is extreme in both directions. Yeah, anyway, let's take a quick look through the portfolio, and I'm just going to kind of go through a few things that we've changed. That's a solid question, Adam. I guess the form works. Yeah, so I made a post a couple of days ago on eToro that many of you probably have seen. He says, if you can find it. Yeah, this post here, where I talk about the fact that I'm pretty confident that we are officially out of the bear market now. It was the second bounce off the low levels. I'll actually bring up a chart. So this is the post if you want to have a quick read. Yeah, so I'm confident that we're away from the bottoms now. I noticed a trend yet again that altcoins perform much better whenever the market is turning. Pretty much, they're more volatile. So when the market suddenly drops down, the altcoins go down by more generally, and when the market as a whole suddenly starts rallying, then the same thing but in reverse. Obviously, the altcoins lost a lot more money during the bear move, which I expected, and accordingly, I put most of my funds towards Bitcoin because I still wanted to make sure that we had exposure to the crypto market for in case I'm wrong, but I wasn't wrong. It was dropping, and yeah, we want to switch it to be more focused on some of the altcoins on the way back up, at least for the beginning of it, like maybe the first month, maybe two, and then after that we'll kind of spread it out a little bit more evenly. So yeah, here's the post, and you can kind of see my opinions. Basically, I think the ones least likely to hit their all-time, or the ones likely to hit their all-time high last, like the slowest ones, are probably Ripple, Ethereum Classic, and Bitcoin Cash. Although I did put a disclaimer on Ripple saying that actually I think it's possible that they won't be quite that bad. Neo and Litecoin are two that I'm pretty unsure about, and Dash and Ethereum are the three that I see as the strongest and safest in terms of their chances of recovering back to their previous all-time highs. more quickly. I'll still obviously keep a lot of exposure to Bitcoin as well, because Bitcoin is the super safe one out of all of them. So yeah, like that's the post I made. There's an awful lot of comments. I won't go through them all because most of them are just hate, like shit slinging with XRP fans, I guess. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to like touch on that, and we'll go and look at the charts in a second. But I'll just go back onto my portfolio so you can see a bit more. I've been doing pretty well on Twitter, pretty well on Square recently. First Solar and Solar Edge again, still doing really well. Microsoft's actually done really well as well. It was at 97 yesterday, so I opened another position earlier today because I saw this price and was like, yeah, you know what, I'm okay with that. Spotify I've done a few trades on, Netflix I've done a few trades on. So like we're pretty, like all the stuff that's near the top is what I've been trading more actively, pretty much. And then we've still got some big losing positions in AMD and Tesla, and Micron's not looking too healthy, but that's only 2 positions. So Tesla's only 2 positions as well, to be fair. So AMD is like the real one that's potentially in trouble. I opened this one a few days ago, as you can see, just kind of on the opportunistic. It should get back to 1050 or so. So maybe get 1 or 2% profit out of it, but certainly not planning on keeping that there until earnings. I'd rather remove it before then. God, what are you guys talking about? So far, the question form has proven much less popular than just asking questions in chat. But in theory, especially when it gets more busy, the question form should be pretty useful for me to actually not miss questions. I mean, in general, it'll still be useful. But let's see. Oh, those questions coming in now. They're flying in. Am I planning any buying sprees soon? Well, you can see my available balance. I'm pretty well bought up. Any buying sprees that I do plan will involve me closing something else to buy it. So not really, I guess, is the answer. I guess it depends on why you're asking that question. Like if you want to add funds or something. I do think I will be reasonably actively trading this, but it was more active in like the past 2 weeks than it will be for the next 2 weeks, I think. But generally, I'm pretty consistent on activity. It's normally between like 20 and 40 trades a week. Currently 23% in the red, copying you. What do you think? How long do I need to wait until I'm back into the green? Anyways, good trading overall. So that would, I guess, mean that you copied me pretty close to the end of the year or the start of the new year. So you're minus 23% at the moment. I would say that realistically, you should be like expecting it to take a similar amount of time as what it took to go down, if not longer. Generally speaking, markets go down a lot faster than they go back up. But this is crypto, so so crypto kind of often breaks that rule, and also tends to go up a lot more. It really depends on market conditions, to be honest. I think that we're in a good place for a recovery, and I think that I've been saying for a long time that the first half of this year is when we'll see the next big rally. And I still, even though we're way behind the schedule that I initially anticipated, I still think that we're on track for that. So I would say that expecting it within 3 months is reasonable, but hopefully it'll be a lot quicker than that. Again, like markets can move pretty quickly, and we're in some reasonable positions on quite a few things. So I'm not too concerned. Like you can already see the difference in my portfolio and how much more green it's been recently. And how much this number is a lot lower than what it used to be. This number used to be like 13,000 in the red. So yeah, it's looking a bit better. And again, like you can kind of look at my chart to see as well over here. So you can see we've got some pretty decent growth here. We did face something here before, but you can see already that this is a much more like tame, gradual slope. Like here was, in hindsight, very unsustainable. As was this. Like when it goes up by 30% in a day or 2 days, that's not good. But something like this is sustainable. for decent periods of time. Like if you go back in history, you can't actually go back very far on these charts without. I can do the last 2 years, but you can kind of see that like the steepness of this is very different to the steepness of like this. So yeah, hopefully it will be done within a few months. Like I'd say the best case scenario is within like a month from now, but obviously that's a best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I guess, is technically never, but the key thing I think to keep an eye on is some of the small positions that I've been just consistently closing, especially in stocks. Like I have definitely made a few mistakes. The oil positions did come back to hurt me because I was not expecting the situation in the Middle East. So the oil positions came back to hurt me, and I finally decided to stick to my mental stop loss and actually close out a couple of the positions yesterday. So we took some heavy losses there, but apart from that, things have been looking pretty good. Still waiting for the 11 million AUM emote. I need to change it because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to stick around the sort of level that I'm at now, actually, in terms of AUM. So here you can see my AUM, and it's currently just under 20 million. And at its peak, it was like 35 million. So, my thoughts on Verge, Pornhub, and MindGeek. I'm not sure if I'm aware what MindGeek is actually, but I can certainly tell you about my opinion on Verge and Pornhub. But first, actually no, not but first. I was going to say but first I'll answer the question that someone's put into the question form, but this is probably easier to deal with now. So Verge, let's go on CoinLib and just take a look at Verge's chart for the sake of some good lols during this period, during this discussion. Let's go 1 month. Okay, so looking at this chart, can you guess when the announcement was? Some people might say, "Oh, maybe it was here. Maybe this is when they announced it." Or maybe it was like back here when they announced it. Or maybe it was back here. No, it was there. That's when they announced the partnership. And there was a mass exodus as soon as that happened because I mean, there's a famous phrase in trading which is buy the news, sell, or buy the hype, sell the news. And that's clearly what people were doing. It was very blatantly obvious to myself and to Jesse that this was something very, very dodgy and clearly not going to be something as major as they were claiming it was going to be. Like they described it as the biggest partnership in cryptocurrency. Just to put that into perspective, let me remind you that we have companies such as IBM, Microsoft, Google, like all of these kind of companies are in this space and have partnerships with different groups such as Stellar, like PricewaterhouseCoopers. There's a lot of big parties at play. Bosch has got a partnership with IOTA, as does Huawei, whatever that company is meant to be pronounced like. So the Pornhub announcement, I think, is total garbage. I think there's actually some underlying things that are troubling about this announcement as well. By the way, in case you're wondering, like, why I keep looking over here, I'm playing with this little bike. It's pretty good. Good bike. So yeah, the Pornhub deal and why I think it's just super fishy and dodgy. First of all, it's not really a partnership if you have to pay for it. Like the point of a partnership, right, is that both parties get something really good out of it. And I guess it could be described as that, but realistically, what this is just a big marketing campaign. This is a massive marketing campaign for Verge, and Verge have spent lots of money, I imagine. I mean, I don't know this as a fact, but I'm pretty sure that they will have just given a massive wadload of money to the tune of millions to Pornhub to advertise Verge, basically, and to accept Verge instead of anything else, on top of anything else. What's interesting about the integrations is that it uses I think it's coin payments as the payment providing service, and coin payments works with about 40 different cryptocurrencies, right? And loads of websites use it, and you can literally pay in whatever you want. And they purposely turned off every other cryptocurrency and left Verge on. And I just find that so bizarre. Like it takes zero effort for them to take loads of cryptocurrencies, but for some reason they're only taking Verge. I mean, the integration itself was poorly done as well. Like, it was forcing people to create accounts, and it had to be a new account, not an account you currently had. And like, even when you paid for it, it didn't come through. There were loads and loads of problems with it that people found straight away. So it was terribly integrated. Certainly not like a custom bespoke integration. Again, they were using a third party service to do it anyway, which they could have done pretty easily, basically for free. And I guess the other really interesting thing is that why would you use Verge? We've seen proof that the privacy on Verge is very, very sketchy at best, and it's really debatable on just how much privacy there is. Like, there is, in my opinion, no excuse for not using something like Monero, even Zcash or even Dash. Like, there's like a wealth of a plethora of other cryptocurrencies, PIVX, that would hide your privacy a lot better. And potentially, perform a lot better as well than PIVX, than Verge. So overall, like, I don't know, it just seems like a massive marketing spend to try and make themselves relevant. And in 3 months' time, it'll fade. Nobody will have used it, and probably Pornhub will start accepting other cryptocurrencies or just stop accepting Verge and cryptocurrencies altogether. And let me remind you as well that there's actually a really, really good project specifically for the porn industry called Spank Chain, which I always laugh when I say it because I'm really mature, which actually has some genuinely good developers behind it. There's some substantial progress in that cryptocurrency. So the fact they're not using that, I just find mind-blowing. It's why, I don't know. It's crazy. They have so many good options, and they just went for the pile of money. That's what they did. They went for the pile of money. Not to mention that as much as people keep saying, that porn is a massive industry, the fact is that it's a massive industry, but most of the massive industry is not through mainstream websites like that. It's through like niche stuff. So anyway. Let me read a bit of chat and then I'll go to some of the other questions that have been submitted, just so I can kind of catch up because I've sort of been looking, but Exactly, Chris. They could basically have just used coin payments, accepted the cryptocurrencies, no big palaver, or they could have just done it off their own merit and kind of become more popular through doing that anyway. It's just such a strange partnership. It really is. Anything on Dash, Litecoin, have Reds open. If they could recover in the next 3 to 4 months, market seems bullish at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I think both those cryptocurrencies are likely to recover pretty well. Again, like, they're altcoins that are outside the top 10. Well, Litecoin is now outside the top 5, and Dash is now outside the top 10. So they're both more altcoiny than they were, I guess, which means that they will probably be slightly more volatile in comparison to things like Bitcoin and some of the other cryptos that are really near the top. So they should recover quicker than a lot of other cryptocurrencies, probably quicker than Bitcoin, I would say. Let's not use Pornhub anymore. Do you believe in Litecoin reaching $1,200? Not for some time. not for some time. Litecoin's such a strange cryptocurrency, and I still, to this day, am not. I haven't made up my mind on how useful it really is. It's very, very, very similar to Bitcoin, and that's both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it means it benefits from things like SegWit and the Lightning Network and atomic swaps and ease of use, and it's been around a long time. It's tried and tested. It's got a great personality at the helm of it. So those are some good pros, right? And it's been accepted in shops and stuff for a pretty long time as well. The big con for it really is that if Lightning Network or anything else manages to scale Bitcoin really efficiently, then there really isn't any definitive advantage to Litecoin, aside from it being, a different brand and them trying to brand it more as the coin that you use to buy things, whereas Bitcoin is like the coin you use to save up money, sort of thing. They're constantly referring to it as, gold and silver, or like a savings account and a current account. Like, I get it, but I'm not convinced by it. I like Litecoin. I like a lot of the people in Litecoin, but I just don't think it really has anything unique about it, and that does make it dangerous as an investment. It's certainly not something you should put lots and lots of money in. For me, I think it's about my 7th or 8th largest position outside of eToro, and on eToro, on my profile, as you'll see, let's take a look. So I've got like 1,400, so I think that's the smallest of my crypto, except for Neo. Neo's a little bit smaller, but even Stellar is higher than that now, and obviously Bitcoin Dash and Ethereum are all higher as well. And I plan on keeping it that way. Like, it's good to have some exposure because it's more volatile and it's got more potential, especially if Bitcoin can't scale perfectly and we get to a point where we've decided that we need multiple cryptocurrencies. But if we don't reach that point, then its future's not quite so bright. So will it reach $1,200? Maybe. But if it does, it's not going to be for at least another year, I don't think. And even then, that would be a pretty good run, I would say. It's actually just lost out on 5th place to EOS, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so EOS is in 5th now. And Cardano is not too far behind. Stellar's not too far behind. IOTA's just seen a lot of traction as well. They've had some nice partnerships and stuff recently, and they're actually building a wallet that might work. So I would say that Litecoin is actually under threat. I would say, it's gonna still be in the top 10 by the end of this year, I think. But after that, it could be facing some real problems, as will Bitcoin Cash and probably several of the other cryptocurrencies. We've already seen Dash slip down and NEM slip down. I think we will also potentially even see Ethereum slip down a little bit later in the year. Do I keep my equity below 50,000 due to FCA protection? No, it's purely coincidence. It's absolute coincidence. I've basically just done that because because that's how much money I've had in this account. I don't like adding funds to the account because it means that anyone who's already committed as much money as they can afford can't afford to add more. So I will probably just continue to let this account grow as I make profit on it, basically. So, if I make 100% profit this year, then my account will be double the size, and I'll keep it like that. I won't withdraw money from it unless I decide that I want to start, thinking about buying a house or something crazy. But I have no plans on doing anything like that at the moment. So. Let's answer some questions in the Google Sheet because they're piling up. Have some Litecoin that I bought in December 17th when it was a bullish moment. Haven't been able to get a single green since then. Would you recommend me to sell and suck the loss or wait longer? I think it depends on how much Litecoin you have, effectively. If it's the only thing in your portfolio, then absolutely you should probably sell it and diversify a bit. If it's just one position out of a portfolio that's got 20 positions in, some Bitcoin and some Ethereum and some whatever else, Ripple, whatever you're into, then no, I think it's fine to just leave it. It also depends on, do you think of yourself as a trader or an investor? Because if you're an investor, then you're going to leave that there for another year, 2 years. That's how you should be looking at investments in cryptocurrency. You shouldn't be looking at them as 2 or 3 month gains. It's just not realistic. Like it will happen plenty of the time, but you've got to be lucky. There's a lot of dips that take place in crypto as well. Da, da, da. Let's have a look at a couple more. What do you think of 0x? I quite like 0x. I wasn't too keen on it to begin with for a pretty long time, actually. But I looked into it about 3 or 4 months ago and kind of decided that I was okay with it and that it was decent, and I think it's got some potential. So, yeah, like I own a bit of it. It's one of the smaller positions in my portfolio, one of the smallest, in fact. Maybe it's less than 1% of my overall total crypto holdings. So it's pretty small. It's not the smallest. But I do think that it's got legs. It'll be interesting to see what else they build on it. There's obviously District 0x and stuff, and there's a few other things that are linking in with their protocol to do different things as well. So yeah, I like it. I don't think it's groundbreaking. I don't think it's insane, but it's the best. It's probably the best project in that area at the moment. So it's probably worth having some until something else better comes along, or they release something that's cool and works, which they may well do quite soon because there's been a lot of that recently. Who's hotter, Kim Jong Un or Kim Jong Un 2? Well, I prefer a young man, and let's be honest, he's on the path to peace at the moment, so he's good in my books. He's good in my books. I'm all about that. And of course, he insulted Donald Trump, so that's always funny. Dear. Cool. So I've done 0x, done Kim Jong Un. Bitcoin private. So Bitcoin private. Bitcoin private was a fork, not of Bitcoin. I think it's benefiting from the same thing as Bitcoin Cash, which is that it's stolen Bitcoin's branding. I find it crazy that this is happening. I mean, even I looked on still on this screen, so let's have a look down and see if we can find Bitcoin Diamond in here, because Bitcoin Diamond had a massive rally. Look at this, plus 36%. Why? Total shitcoin. Total shitcoin. It's just nuts, isn't it? It's just nuts that you can add the word Bitcoin to something and make loads of free money. So yeah, here's Bitcoin private. Oh, I've never actually been on their website. Let's have a look at it. Look at that. Unbelievable. There's the block that I've forked off of. Yeah, I actually Bitcoin. To be fair, Bitcoin private isn't one that I've looked into as much. Trying to remember if it was Zcash or Zcoin, Z Classic. Yeah, that's what it was. What Bitcoin chain? Crazy. Yeah, I don't think it's all that. Monero is better. They've stolen branding. It's never a good thing if someone steals branding, in my opinion. So, I mean, yeah, that's I don't really have a super informed opinion on it, I'm afraid, because again, I haven't properly researched it. I remember reading a bunch of stuff on Reddit, and my mind was made up pretty quickly by what I read. But yeah, if it's something that you're into, then maybe do your own research. But I don't think it's something that's going to have a long-term future. Ooh, a bear flag on the daily. I'll have a look at that in a second. Hold on. I'm getting questions piling up. They're everywhere. But first, I need to check my notifications on Twitter, man. Ooh, look at that. Some good notifications. Look at that guy. Red Eye. What a legend. That guy. Bit of a ledge, isn't he? Bit of a ledge. And obviously I want to keep an eye on the portfolio as well. Something has disappeared from being profitable. It was Microsoft. Microsoft was profitable earlier. Sad times. Sad times. Okay. Just so you guys have got a bit more variety. You can have a look at all my screens. Why not? Take a drink because I'm thirsty now. I refuse to open that image, Adam. You're trying to get me banned on Twitch. I know you are. You mad one. Jay, remember when you said Bitcoin will be adopted first on third and fourth world countries? I didn't say fourth world countries, but yes. Italy at the moment is having bank account is not cheap. You might have to pay hundreds of euros a year just. Oh, I've got to scroll. Oh, okay. It doesn't like me scrolling at all. I need to delete all the other cells because it does not let me scroll. Or I can just do that. That works. Let's do that. Remember when you said Bitcoin would be used first and third and fourth world countries? Oh, thanks, Jesse. You got my back. You got my back. I'm going to resize it back now because now it fits. Italy bank accounts are not cheap. You might have to pay hundreds of euros a year just to keep your account open. Here in the UK, we do not have that problem, but I see countries like Italy switching to cryptos not to pay annual bank fees together with transaction fees. But those are more suitable and kind of accepted. Yeah, I mean, basically, there's a bunch of reasons for doing it, right? I think the first use case is going to be savings, because, and especially in countries that suffer from either very high inflation or hyperinflation. And countries that, like Cyprus, for example, have been through situations where they've had run-on banks and banks collapse, or they've had the government basically taking money out of people's accounts, right? So people don't trust the banks anymore, and there's an inherent distrust of the banks. Banks with high fees, I don't think that's quite enough to push it yet. It's definitely going to be a nudge for people to maybe look into cryptocurrencies, but I don't think that people want to move away from that infrastructure yet. And of course, let's not forget that spending cryptocurrencies is still a pain in the ass for most cryptos. Lightning Network should improve that dramatically, and could be the catalyst that really makes cryptocurrencies palatable to the public for day-to-day transactions, because scan a QR code and it's literally paid instantly. There's a video on YouTube somewhere that you can go and find. Let's try and find it actually, that will demonstrate just how quickly it can do it, basically. See if we can find. Yeah, let's go with this one. Oh, look at this! He's got little star blocks. Amazing. Yeah, I was going to change the screen. I was remembering. I promise. So here we have star blocks, and there's a blockachino. Maybe he wants to buy one of those. Let's have a look. And this is using Lightning Network, and it's just an example website that someone's made. So he's added all of them to his cart. There you can see the price. Checkout. There's a QR code. I imagine he's going to use his phone with some Bitcoin. It's going to be interesting to see what the transaction fee is here. Those are either some very feminine hands of this guy, or it could be that there is a woman in Bitcoin, which is always nice. Scan it. There you go. So does it say the fee? So this is 89 cents that she's just paid worth of Bitcoin. That's done. You see the confirmation on the other screen? That's done. So stuff like this, I want to see what the fee is. Show me what the fee was. Oh, there's the fee. 0.00. How many zeros is that? It's like 6 zeros, 5 zeros. It was not very much. I think it might have been a 1 Satoshi fee or a 10 Satoshi fee. But you get the idea, right? So she just paid 80 cents to instantly pay for that fake coffee. So if things like this get adopted and streamlined quickly, then we could see this, play an impact on the public's perception of cryptocurrencies and how quickly they can be adopted. There was no sound on that video, basically, by the way. I think it is muted at the moment, though. It is muted at the moment. But there was basically no sound anyway. They didn't say anything. You just heard a woman clicking on a mouse. Okay. Let's get rid of that. That was exciting. I think we can all agree that was very exciting. And of course, obviously, with something like that, you can accept payments on phones and stuff as well. So, it has a lot of advantages. You get the advantages that come with having a cashless society, which a lot of people are against because they don't want a cashless society that's, entirely controlled by government because they know everything you have and everything else. But this is a kind of cashless society that I am okay with. Personally, I hate carrying around any actual money these days. Getting in a taxi is the worst thing, because taxis never seem to want to accept card. And the cat is back home from the vets, and she's not happy. I feel like I should show this on stream. How unhappy is she, Leanne, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is very unhappy? She pooed and weed herself. She's getting better. Did you do it again? Was she okay? Oh, sounds like you're gonna have to clean some poo off the cat's bum, Leanne. No. I'm busy streaming. Just so all of you guys know, one of our cats is very scared of the vets, and she's the one that has to go all the time, and yeah. Has she? Yeah. Is that a lot for a cat? Yeah. Well, Jesse, I will answer your concern. I think the good thing about cryptocurrency, and as a cashless society, as opposed to a cashless society where we're using banks, is that homeless people can't get bank accounts. Like, you have to take in so much documentation. But they can get a Bitcoin wallet really easily. They could literally just go into a library, go on blockchain.info, create a wallet, print it out on a piece of paper and go put it on their sign. And this has been seen in China and a few other countries, where people have actually started using QR codes in their signs asking for money. Still pretty rare at the moment, and again, it's still not ideal because currently there's not very many people that have cryptocurrency, so they may see reduced, reduced money during the transition period. But actually, in the long term, I think it's quite useful because you can also potentially even say that you'll only donate to a certain type of cryptocurrency that can only be spent in certain places. So you could actually donate in, I don't know, food coin that is only spendable on food and things like that. So you can really make sure that it's helping them. Or transparency coins that allow you to see where they're spending it and how they're spending it. And you could look up their wallet first and kind of see how much money they've got. You could see how desperate they actually are for money and if they need it right now or not. And I think it gives the transparency gives the person donating the money a bit more information about what they're donating to, I guess. If they're asking for their donation to be in Monero, you can be pretty sure that they're probably not going to go and buy a cheeseburger with it. Not necessarily true, but you get the idea. How's the Pineapple Fund going? I don't know. I haven't looked in a while. I know someone who actually applied for some money from the Pineapple Fund, but they didn't reply, which is saddening. Very saddening, because it was a good project. Okay, I was distracted by cats, and yeah, let's go back through. When will you update the portfolio on your site? You know what? I should really do that sooner rather than later, because I was going to do it at the end of the year, and then my PC broke. I think it's mainly because I had a few challenges and like trying to figure out how to display it as well. Because I had a bunch of my crypto disappear. Everything that was in my PivX basically disappeared overnight because it was lost during the ZPiv update and my computer dying. A bunch of my Nano got lost due to an exchange hack. I still potentially have some of it, but I don't know. Like, there's 20% that's still sitting in the wallet for the exchange, BitGrail, and so I could be getting that back at some point. I'm not sure. There's a lawsuit going on. He's trying to convince people to take up his new token to relaunch the exchange, a bit like what Bitfinex did. So yeah, it's difficult because I think I'm just gonna, if I do it, I'm gonna have to do it without really showing if I've gained or lost anything really, and just show the percentages again and show the allocation again as like a snapshot of allocation. But yeah, I guess that's what I'll do. But it shouldn't take me too long. I could probably do that this weekend. Yeah, I'm gonna do that this weekend because like it will take me like 3 or maybe 4 hours to go through all the different wallets and exchanges and make sure that all the numbers are correct again. Put it in a spreadsheet, make a little chart. So yeah, I'll do that this weekend for you. So it should be up by Monday. And every time I say this, I don't do it. So assume Monday a week later, and then it'll definitely be there. I'm just gonna open the markets again because I've been neglecting them somewhat, and that's not what I want to do. Twitter's dropped quite a bit. I might go for another position there. See, I said as soon as I started this stream, I was all proud of myself, like, oh, look, I caught that little dip. That's a bit too early, wasn't I? Too early. Got earnings season coming up as well. AMD's earnings next week, a bunch more. I've actually got a tab up here of all the different, like, well, not all of them, but a bunch of the pages. I've started collecting the actual things because I always just Google earnings call and try and find their like earnings report page. Every single earnings season, I'm like, why don't I just start bookmarking these? So I have, and so far my favorite page is Spotify's. Although weirdly, I don't appear to have actually saved that one, so I need to go back on there and find it. Expectations for, speaking of earnings, expectations for AMD's earnings next week. You know what? I'm not sure actually. I've moved to be a little bit more pessimistic on AMD recently, and I'm not really sure why. It feels like it could just be my brain responding to the fact that we've been red on AMD for a long time, which is not good. So what I need to do is actually, do some more research and make sure that, the reasons that I invested in AMD are still good reasons and still, stand up. There was something a little bit disconcerting a couple of days ago. Lisa Su, who's the acting CEO at, I say acting, I mean, she is the CEO. She's not like a replacement CEO or something. Who's the CEO at AMD. She sold some of her shares, which I thought was interesting. So that may not be a good sign. I mean, it may be entirely innocent and she just wanted to buy a new house or a Ferrari or something. She did go to the Formula One that weekend, so it's pretty possible. Maybe they offered her like a discount. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. There's a lot of like share dilution that keeps going on with AMD, which is concerning. I think CPU wise, they're still doing well. I haven't actually really dug into the new batch that just got released. The new Ryzen CPUs that just got released. I'm still pretty bullish on Epic. It takes a long time to build that side of a company, so I need to dig into it and take a look and see how I feel about it. But I don't think realistically that we will see a substantial like miss on earnings. Graphics cards have been flying off the shelves everywhere around the world due to cryptocurrency, and they're still in that situation at the moment. So they're doing well on the part of the business that should be doing the worst. CPU wise, I know a lot of people that have been buying 1700s and stuff, so I think that's fine. And really all we're looking for in Epic is just growth, just slow, steady adoption. But we'll see how this earnings goes. But yeah, currently I'm feeling a little bit bearish than normal. Again, I think this earnings report will be quite telling. Like it's getting to the point where they need to like really make progress on something. Like AMD certainly didn't have a disaster like they did with like the bulldozer CPUs, for example, but you know, Ryzen was very, very, very good and really has taken the battle back to Intel and put some big pressure on them. But the market is, you know, the market for CPUs is a weird beast, and they're not looking amazing. Indeed, ugly horse. Indeed. I'm also amazed that you know how many trades. If you've got a spreadsheet of all of my trades, then you need to speak to my friend Jesse. Because we've been trying to build a stats document that really like individually goes into everything I've been trading and like how much profit I've made from each individual asset and all this kind of stuff, and release a bunch of stats. And actually we've been struggling with it a bunch. So if you're in on that stuff, yeah, you checked history. Fair enough. Wait, you can check the history of it. Maybe you can filter it. I never thought about that. Huh. I've never actually used that. I'm gonna have a look. Go my history. Can you filter it by like type? How did you do it? I'm now very. Ah, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of already done though, but not super well. Because it doesn't have the actual calculations in it and stuff, so you can't like manipulate it very easily. You have to like redo all of the calculations they've done. But yeah, no, my view on AMD is kind of at the moment. I'm gonna look into it again, see what I think. If we have to cut and run out of it, then it'll be pretty unfortunate, but that's the way it is. I'm not gonna stick with a company that I think is likely to do worse, and certainly there is less to be optimistic about now than there was this time last year in AMD. So perhaps I missed the time to sell. It's hard to say. Where is my AMD? This is exciting. I've not done this like this before. Can I order it by? No, I can't. Ah, that's cool. That's actually very useful. I did not know this. Thank you for telling me about this, ugly horse. 32. Are you a 32-bit horse? Is that what you are? Interesting. What's my worst performer? EA. Nokia. That was what my one trade in Nokia. Oh, two trades in Nokia. Anyway. Wow, look how much I've been investing. This is nuts. Crazy. Um Let's look at some more questions. What do you think about the VeChain Thor transition? Is there anything coin holders need to do not to miss out on anything? I'm not aware of this, so I have no idea, and I'm going to Google that after this to find out what it is because I have no idea. VeChain's not really a project that I keep up with very much because I have a very small amount of it. So, like, I don't think it's a bad project, but Yeah, I'll have to. Maybe you can tell me. If I want to triple my open with you, should I close the copy then recopy? Again, like it depends on risk appetite. There is like an FAQ on my website if you want to go and take a look. That kind of says my opinion on it in general. But basically, in short, what that is, if you've got a high risk appetite and I'm currently very drawn down in red, then it could be well worth uncopying and recopying. You will have to pay a lot of spread fees again, but it does mean that all of your money will be in straight away. And, in theory, if I'm really heavily red, then I'm more likely to close that after it's gone up a bit than if it goes down more, generally speaking. So, yeah, I would actually probably recommend that at the moment. But generally speaking, it's better to add funds via just the add funds button and kind of wait for the money to slowly integrate its way into my trades. Moving from private blockchain to DApp platform. Huh. Rebranding. If it's rebranding, then I don't think there's anything you're going to have to do. But if it is moving, I'll have to read into it later. Like, this is probably going to be too much to read through on this stream. But I imagine you probably won't need to do anything. Price Waterhouse Cooper in that. Anyway. Bitcoin Diamond, the new Bitcoin. Was that an advertisement somewhere? Did I miss that? I wasn't looking. I see Dorado. That's still going. I feel like I missed an ad. It must have been up here and it's changed. Very sad that I missed that. Oh no, SolarEdge has fallen out of profit as well. We're on a slight down day on the markets today. It's not surprising considering the jump that we saw over the past couple of days. This week has been pretty good for the markets actually. Put your portfolio distribution into CoinLib. Share it. Not a question. This is a good idea, Jesse. Yes, I could do that. Possibly. I'm pretty skeptical about using APIs to connect to exchanges, though. And yeah, I may have to look at how it works. It's a decent way of doing it, but I'm not sure. I also don't generally believe that it's a good idea to be going around telling people exactly how much cryptocurrency you've got on these crypto portfolio websites when you could just use a spreadsheet. Call me old-fashioned, but you're giving people data that they're probably going to use for something. Don't use the API. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I would want to use the API. I guess I could use it without the API. And I do know Bob slightly from CoinLib, so like if he screws up, I can beat him up. I also know a guy from Crypto Portfolio as well. So if he screws up, then I'll just go back to Crypto Portfolio because they gave me like a little webcam blocking thing at an event, which I haven't used and probably never will. But hey, they gave me one, and that's what counts. What have you ever given me, CoinLib? Where's my free merch that I won't use? Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Do you own a masternode? Is it a good investment? A masternode is a good investment depending on what it's on. And if you can afford it. So like the biggest and best place to have a masternode right now, I think, is Dash, definitely. But unfortunately, a masternode on Dash is not cheap, and I think it's unlikely that most people can afford them because they're somewhere in the region, I think, of I guess it must be maybe 400,000 for a masternode on Dash at the moment. What's the price of Dash? Yeah, so like 450k roughly for a masternode on Dash. That's a lot of money. I might even be wrong on that calculation. It might be 4.5 million. I can't remember how many tokens you need for a masternode. So let's Google it. Dash master. Cost. Let's go with that. Okay, yeah, it was 450k. So yeah, not cheap. It goes up with the amount of with the value of Dash, and down with the value of Dash. But yeah, like generally, masternodes pay out pretty well. I think Dash is somewhere around 4% or so. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Weekly income. Yeah, it's pretty good. 1 Dash a week. It's not bad. 400 and something. Yearly income 70 Dash, so 30,000. So yeah, you're looking at like over 6%, about 7%. That's, it's a pretty decent income. Obviously, you then have to take out the costs of running the masternode. It has to be online all of the time. You have to have good bandwidth. You have to potentially in the future, you're going to have to upgrade your hardware to support bigger blocks and all sorts of other cool and exciting functionality. But if you are in a position where you can afford that without putting your entire portfolio into it, then it's probably something worth considering. Again, it also depends on if you have the technical capabilities to really do it. There's going to be a lot of tutorials out there that you can probably find and follow and learn about, and it's probably worth it considering the return you're likely to get. There are a few other cryptocurrencies that have masternodes as well, such as 70 Dash a year before costs. I mean, that's pretty all right. It's not awful. Because remember that the value of Dash is probably going to be going up during this period as well. Like $30,000. It doesn't cost $30,000 to have a good PC turned on and a good internet connection for that PC. And let's be clear here, Chris. It's still quite a good deal. Yep, your original money can still come back. In pure Dash, yeah. But you can sell the Dash. You can sell the extra that you make. You just need to keep the minimum balance in there, and you can exchange it for other cryptos and stuff. There's a reason that there are a lot of masternodes. And the reason there's a lot of masternodes is that it makes sense, Chris, and you can make money out of it. What are cheaper, good alternatives? Smart cash. So there's smart cash, PivX. You can run a masternode on. Honestly, I think on PivX you're better off just using proof of stake. Smart cash, I'm not convinced that it's really going to last that long. So you've got to ask yourself, do you really want to lock up a bunch of coins in a currency that's not that big? I mean, I guess I don't know what the price of it is on smart cash. If it's low enough, if it's like maybe under 5% of your portfolio, then it could be worth the risk. I believe they pay out better for their masternodes there as well. Yeah, I don't really think it's worth it. Like, PivX uses a seesaw mechanism for their masternodes compared to the stakers on the network. So with PivX, you're better off just staking because you can stop and start whenever you want, and so you can do it with less. You can do it with as little as one PivX. To be clear, Chris, that you don't lose the money you pay for the masternode. It just locks it up. Like, you can still just stop the masternode and then take the money back out of it again. It's exactly like proof of stake, basically. I mean, it runs on proof of stake effectively, so that's why it's exactly like proof of stake. So yeah, masternodes. I mean, masternodes are actually a really interesting topic, and I think masternodes are a really cool concept, a really cool idea. Adding like second layers to networks and stuff, and using masternodes to process different things. That is correct, Chris. It also, of course, gives you voting rights on all of the DAO. If you're a masternode, then you can vote on the DAO. So it's pretty big. Yeah, I was staking on PivX for a nice time with about 5,000 PivX, and now it's all gone. Was it 5,000? It might be more than. I can't remember how much it was anymore. It was a lot, and it's all gone. So I'm pretty sad. I have bought some more PivX since then because I still think it's a great project, and I still want to stake. Proof of stake was good, honestly. Like, you know, just having that little wallet running and just churning out money every couple of days was really nice. I think I started about the same time as you, RobTech, if I remember right. So yeah, like I think proof of stake is actually, if you don't have the money for a masternode on Dash, then I don't think a masternode elsewhere is really that worthwhile. You're better off just looking at coins that you can use with proof of stake, and I would suggest PivX as a good option. There's actually a video on YouTube that shows a bunch of different proof of stake coins that you can use. I believe Bytum uses proof of stake, so that might be a decent one. I did speak to PivX tech support, and they basically were like, yeah, this was an oversight by the dev team, and quite a few people were affected by it. We're sorry. If you haven't done so, Rob, since before they implemented ZPiv, go and re-back up your wallet. In fact, technically, every time you create ZPiv in your wallet, you need to back it up currently. They are patching it so that that won't be the case, but they have not done so yet. So just a warning, Rob, don't let what happened to me happen to you. Back up that wallet like every couple of days, basically, is what I'm saying, until they patch it. Otherwise, you could lose whatever is converted into ZPiv. Yeah, unfortunately, the option to turn off ZPiv wasn't there when they first introduced it, and when they first introduced it, it converted something like 80% of people's balances into ZPiv for the first time. So I converted it back, but it still didn't count. Like, it was gone. So. Having a hard drive work in parallel because it fries again. It shouldn't do. But also, this was like I use an M.2, so I can't use the same type of SSD, which means that it will actually cause like effectively some slight problems with my PC because one of the SSDs is faster than the other, so a bunch of stuff will be like cached and stuff. Like it's just messy. So I'd rather, you know, I'd rather just, if it breaks, I buy a new one. Than set up a backup. But I do plan on building a separate PC to do everything to do with my cryptocurrencies. I've been planning it for a very long time. And by planning, I mean neglecting to actually do it. Because I'm one of those people that spends a lot of time thinking about components and basically never come to a decision. Well, it is on a blockchain, but it's on the ZPiv part of the blockchain, basically. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know enough about how ZPiv works. I remember that it was incredibly complex when I first learned about it. But effectively, every time the current wallet backup in your wallet does not support anything that is converted to ZPiv. So if it converts it to ZPiv once, then your wallet gets confused and doesn't know what it is. So it doesn't back it up, basically. Like, that private key is not the one that's used. Your wallet creates private keys for access to your ZPiv on the fly and like deletes them and stuff as well. So yeah. If you want to find out more, then I suggest going into the PivX Discord. They were incredibly useful, to be fair to them. Like, I love PivX. The community is just fantastic. And they did everything they could to try and help. But, you know, they were limited in what they could do. So yeah, I was left with like 50 PivX or something, which is about the amount that I've managed to earn from staking over the course of all my staking. So it's kind of funny, I guess, but but I do plan on doing it again because it was honestly, it was quite fun, to be honest. It was quite fun. I'm also looking forward to testing Augur. They are now in a testing phase on dev.augur.net. So you can create a wallet on here using MetaMask, Ledger, or something else. So you can create an account using Uport. There's also other options somewhere to use MetaMask and stuff. But it's a bit dodgy. It's a bit broken at the moment. But they are testing. They are officially, they're officially actually testing the functionality of Augur now, which is really super duper awesome and incredibly exciting. Like loads of people are creating little bets here and there that do different things. Not very many people are actually betting on these markets yet, because I guess it's so new. So like here's Formula one, betting the result of the upcoming Formula One race, and you can buy shares in teams, which is like super cool. Obviously, it's not showing me everything because I don't have an account, so like it's not like showing me everything that would if I did to actually do it. But it's effectively there's an order book for all of these different types of shares, and you can buy those shares and bet on results of things, which is super 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 exciting. How much money did I originally invest in eToro? How long did it take to grow to 44k? So it's a bit confusing because I had a bunch of popular investor payments going there for like the first few months of my popular investing. So probably like 5 or 6 grand worth of my balance, which then obviously grew, came from popular investor payments. But effectively, I started eToro with $1,000 or so when I first started, and grew it from there pretty much. I put some money in some months, I took some money out some months. I haven't added or removed anything from that account in about probably almost a year now. So yeah, and I don't plan to anymore either. And yeah, no, it's 40k. Yeah, I mean, I've had suspicions of a bear market on equities as well, but I'm not committed to it. As you can see, I've got some shorts open on Nasdaq and UK and SPX. So I say UK FTSE. I don't know why they call it UK 100. They should just call it FTSE 100. It's weird. Yeah, a market correction is very, very possible. Like global debt is rising. More and more people are putting their money into cryptocurrency. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that's contributing to it, like housing markets in the UK and Canada, a bunch of places heading in weird directions again. Although it's actually kind of cooled off in the UK recently. There's a lot of stuff to be looking at, like the geopolitical situation, manufacturing situation, automation situation. Like there's so many contributors that could be the catalyst for the next big drop. War, of course, being one of the bigger ones. But or like even the trade war with China, we saw the impact that had, even though it's kind of cooled off a little bit for the moment. We saw the impact that had pretty quickly. So I think a drop is inevitable at some point, but I chat to Mr. Thor on the regular. He was telling me I should buy more silver the other day, but I actually closed my silver that day because it hit a nice profit. And I think it's gone down since then. Like my gold's dropped, so maybe I will go find some silver again. See if it's back in the $16 range. No, still over 17. All the cryptos I don't have are rocketing today. All the cryptos I do have rocketed yesterday. Like, it's just how it is. And I really, really do think that people underestimate just how dangerous some of these cryptocurrencies are. There is nobody using Ethereum Classic. And at some point, people are going to realize it. Like, at some point, people are going to realize that this doesn't do anything. And by owning it, you are just betting on effectively a massive self-inflicted Ponzi scheme. That's all it is. It's a self-inflicted Ponzi scheme. I hate to agree with a lot of the economists who used to say, "Oh, Bitcoin's a bubble. Like, it doesn't do anything." Bitcoin does do something. Bitcoin is a really, really, really good store of value now because so many people use it, and because it was the first blockchain, and because it uses proof of work. It is backed up by the hashing power that goes into it, and the electricity that goes into that, and the fact that people have invested in resources. They would not want to sell it below a certain price. There's like all sorts of mechanisms in place that give things like Bitcoin value, and some of those mechanisms to a certain point carry over to things like Litecoin and to Bitcoin Cash. But you always have to be in the back of your mind thinking, what is the long-term goal of this project? What's this going to be used for? What's Ethereum Classic going to be used for? What's Ripple going to be used for? What's Zcash going to be used for? Monero. And at the end of the day, there is space in the world for multiple in many of these markets. You can have 5 different versions of Bitcoin all be successful, but you cannot have 50 all be successful. And, something like Ethereum Classic was originally a smart contract platform. It has since moved away from being a smart contract platform. Nobody is using smart contracts on it anymore, apart from maybe things like multisig and stuff like that. Nobody is building a DApp on top of Ethereum Classic. So Ethereum Classic has moved back into the category of just being a currency, okay, or a commodity. And that's why they changed the algorithm to allow it to be deflationary again, stop it from being inflationary. So yeah, they told it to stop being deflationary, and as a result, we have something that is competing with Bitcoin. And you've got to ask yourself, what's better at being Bitcoin? What's better as a store of value and as a mechanism for paying people and cross-border payments? And you compare it with Bitcoin, and Ethereum Classic does not come close. Nobody is using it. It doesn't have anything like a stronger network effect. The number of transactions is minuscule. All of the volume for on their blockchain is related to exchanges. Like, no one's going into a shop and spending it. Bitcoin, not many people are, but some people are, and a lot of people want to. And that's the difference. I do agree with Ugly Horse to the most part, that, the top 3 or whatever, but I don't think it's specifically the top 3. I also think it's more than 3. I think, there's probably about 30... Right now, there's probably about 10 cryptocurrencies which you can actually use for what they're designed for and are decent at it and are looking to get better. And there's probably about 30 different projects which are building towards something that no one else is currently doing, which can also be, used in that way. So, if I go on CoinLib, let's have a look. And let's go down the top. And we'll literally investigate, and we'll see which areas they're competing in, right? Bitcoin, currently the biggest commodity/currency. Okay, easy. Ethereum, currently the biggest DApp platform. Again, easy. Ripple, currently the biggest rail system, the biggest like payments on rails, and like almost like a decentralized exchange, but not really because it's not decentralized. But the biggest, I don't even know how you describe Ripple, to be honest. So, like, as much as I dislike it, it is currently the biggest, has some decent partnerships. I just dislike it because it's currently really centralized. Okay, so again, that's useful. Bitcoin Cash. Currently the biggest, technically, big block style version of Bitcoin, hardware-focused scaling solution to Bitcoin. But if you actually look at it under the surface, you realize that the technology they're using to take that approach is much worse than things like Ardor and Dash and Pivex. Okay, so Bitcoin Cash, in my opinion, shitcoin as a result because it's not the best in its category. EOS, they look to become the next biggest to Ethereum, although they haven't released yet. They will be pretty soon, and currently they're ahead of schedule. And I've been a big fan of EOS for a really long time. So again, EOS I like. Good chances of success, not a shitcoin. Still potential that it could turn out to be a shitcoin, but currently looking like it won't be. Litecoin, as I said earlier, very questionable. I really like Litecoin. I want to like Litecoin, but you've got to treat it cautiously because until it comes up with a USP, it's just a slightly worse version of Bitcoin. Like, yes, it's got faster block times and stuff, so technically it's slightly better, but in reality, not really. You just call him a scam. EOS is definitely not a scam, dude. I've met Dan Larimer. I've met him in person and spoken to him. He's real, and he's really working on it, and he's not a dickhead. Cardano. So Cardano is like an EOS, but it's like a year, maybe 2 years further out. Like they're thinking more grand scale, and they're also taking a slightly different approach, but they're much further out. They do have very like what they have produced is of very good quality, but again, it's a bit risky. But you know, there's potential. There is definitely potential there. As I said, there is room for more than one in these markets. So in theory, Ethereum, EOS, and Cardano can all survive together. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Um, I'm very tempted to join this debate in a minute. I'm loving these comebacks. They're real good. Stellar, same situation as Ripple, except less decentralized, less centralized. Still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, similar sort of system. Again, it's possible that can survive because you can have more than one in each area. IOTA, totally different technology, really buggy, needs a lot of work, but worth a punt, I think. Still. And you've seen recently some of the achievements they've had in actually really using their currency for what it's designed for. You know, there is an electric car charger in the Netherlands that was unveiled a couple of days ago that allows you to charge your car using IOTA, and the car autonomously pays for the energy from the machine, and like the machine can ask the car for energy if the grid wants extra power to power people's homes or whatever, like all these kind of things. Super cool stuff. So IOTA, again, really fucking out there, but it's possible. There's something worth like looking at, worth potentially investing in. Neo's pretty questionable. Neo's like a worse version of EOS, worse version of Ethereum, potentially. It's more similar to EOS than Ethereum actually in how it works. Monero, the biggest privacy coin, you know, good. They can survive. Like already we're down to 11th, and like we've only actually really ruled out like 3 or 2 really, which is Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin from this top group. Potentially you could rule out something like Cardano or even EOS. But like as we head down into this region, you start seeing a bunch more copycats that really don't have anything substantial. Zcash isn't as good as Monero, you know? Like the further down you go, the more of these like shit coins there are. Dogecoin, you know, Bitcoin Diamond. What are these guys really achieving? Zilliqa, like they're not ahead of anything. They don't have any products yet, and no one's using it. And it's a real effort and a real stretch to see them actually surpassing the people above them at this point. If it was 2 years ago, then yeah, they would have had a decent shot. But these days, not so much. Considering a way to shard dust. Jesse is slowly learning random bits of terminology. Dust is the lightest, most updated version of skin. I should tweet that. That's amazing. Eventually, we will all be made of dust. We came from dust, and we shall return to dust. Dust to dust. Oh, man. Because of people like you, shitcoins moon easily. I think the thing is, right, 6 months ago, you looked at the top 50 on CoinMarketCap, and there were so many shitcoins. Let's do it. Let's go on CoinMarketCap. And there were just so many shitcoins. Where's their like history machine thing? I've forgotten. Tools. Historical snapshots. Yeah. Let's go. So let's go to the middle of 2017 and let's take a look, right? So let's go like, yeah, middle of August. And we see a lot of the familiar stuff at the top because there were decent projects. Oh, and look how high Ethereum Classic used to be once upon a time. And BitConnect. But like, look at these projects. So many of them are shit. Like 10x. Like, I liked Monaco at first, and like I look back at myself now, I'm like, why did I like Monaco? Like, it never had a chance. It still hasn't got a chance really. There's so many projects in here. Like Lisk, you know, I made some good money on Lisk, and I'm okay with Lisk, but you know, using a different coding language isn't really enough of a differentiator anymore, is it? Veritasium, I called that out as a complete fucking shitcoin, and it is a complete shitcoin. Populous, you know, there's so much like Civic with what's his name behind it. Like I still have some Civic, but I start to question myself on why. Like how likely is this to actually work? So many projects that just haven't really shown that they've done anything yet. And back here it was so much worse than it is now. And what we've seen is the good projects that were actually getting kind of drowned out back here are starting to come back because they're good. Round. I remember Round when they ICO'd. Let's see where they are now. What's happened to them now? Oh, look, they're dead. Oh, man. There's not even a social tab. Does the website still exist? No. But yeah, what we're seeing is shitcoins are dying. They are dying left, right, and center. What the fuck is this? You know, it's probably shit. And people are like harsh on me because I'm harsh on ICOs, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. Oh, the team's really shit because it doesn't have someone from Google. But that's what you need these days if you want any chance of success. Tron. What the fuck is Tron? Telegram. Like buzzwords and a marketing fucking team. That's all most of these are. Electronium, I called that out as a shitcoin. Everyone hated on me. It did better after its ICO, but look at it now. It's fucking failing. It's a shitcoin. Oh, makes me angry. Makes me angry. Let's have a look and see what's going on Twitter. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. If you don't follow Whale Panda, you definitely should. He does love destroying Bitcoin Cash and some of the other shitcoins. But yeah, so like I'm sympathetic to what you're saying, Ugly Horse, right? You're like one of the original maximalists, and like I know people worse than you. Like there's a guy I follow called Yudi, who I met in Israel. And at first I used to think, man, this guy's like the most fucking hardcore maximalist. I don't like him. He doesn't like any other projects that aren't Bitcoin. He thinks everything is a failed experiment. He doesn't even like Ethereum. And like in the past 6 months, I've started to come around more to his way of thinking. That there are just far too many projects out there that are total shitcoins. Some of them will succeed in different markets. Some of them will be decent. And I think that EOS is one of those as well. And even though I know I've read their legal thing, I know that it's technically worth nothing. Technically. But I believe that they did that for the right reasons, which is to legally protect themselves. I don't think they actually plan on it being worth nothing, because, you know, that would be really mean. And I wouldn't be happy about that. But I think we've entered an era where shitcoins are now finally being called out. And we are starting to get the actual products, the actual projects that are really working on something that is new and innovative and good, are starting to find their way back up into the top 50. Basic attention token, as much as it is likely to fail by any stretch of the imagination, because it's, you know, like just trying to compete with markets that are just totally controlled by massive monopolies. Basic attention token is still innovative. It's still trying to do something brand new. And it deserves to be in the top 50 because of that. It deserves to have funding. It deserves to have people trying to help it. Same with Augur, same with Loopring. All three of these I'm invested in. Status, like there are a few projects in here, Sirecoin, that I think are good projects on their own merit. And they started a long time ago and they've actually got a working prototype. Like all of these have working prototypes. Except Status. Status doesn't, I don't think. Pivex, to be honest, actually falls kind of into the shitcoin realm. Like technically on paper, it is better than Dash and some of the other privacy coins, and than some of the Bitcoin alternatives as well. But you know, because it's using proof of stake and things like that, it's got a fairer algorithm for masternodes and stuff. But the chances of success are pretty low. I like it. I want it to succeed because it is better technically than some of the stuff above it. But it may not succeed. And that's why you've got to diversify. Tell me why I like Sirecoin. Because Sirecoin, again, has actually got a real product that you can use right now. There's like 200 terabytes worth of storage space being used on Sirecoin that people are paying for with Sirecoin. I think Sirecoin's a decent project. I really do. Like they demonstrated recently the ability to stream like video content that is saved on Sirecoin, which is super cool. Super cool. Decentralized file sharing, and potentially, if they can get it right, decentralized streaming. Which isn't that similar to some products that exist that aren't cryptocurrencies, but there's a utility for the cryptocurrency there. Filecoin's just a shitcoin that stole everyone else's work. Storage and Sirecoin are the originals. But I don't like storage so much because it's like really centralized in terms of like the company that's running it and stuff. Like, yeah, it's not open source. Sirecoin is the one to choose out of those three. This is what I mean. Like, you know, you've got three different people attempting the same market, and Sirecoin, I believe, is by far the best out of those three. Even though Sirecoin is a much worse name than Filecoin. Yeah, I don't know why you think privacy coins don't have a future, by the way. Seems a bit weird. What about Engine? Have you checked it out? I have checked out Engine. Engine is the cryptocurrency focused on gaming. There's not really much to see at the moment. They've got a lot of partnerships and stuff, and you know they've got a decent team, and they're trying to do a lot in the space. But I think it's too early really to judge them I also think it's too early really to invest in it. I don't think they will be regulated to death. I really don't. I don't. With decentralized exchanges coming, I don't see how you can. Why don't I like Zill? It's not that I don't like Zill. I just don't think it's innovative enough. You can't just take the idea of sharding um, and apply it before anyone else does, and then say that you're like geniuses, right? And I know there's a little bit more to it than that. Like they use proof of work for like identity and a bunch of other different things in there as well. But realistically, like it's just not a big enough leap. It doesn't count as a big leap, especially when you compare it to what EOS is doing. And what Cardano is doing. Like, you know, saying at this point that you've managed to achieve like 2,500 or 10,000 transactions per second in a cryptocurrency isn't that big of a deal anymore, because IOTA has smashed that. Absolutely fucking smashed it. Buggy as fuck. Not currently very decentralized, but in theory decentralized as the network grows, right? EOS, again, like it's got some problems. It's reasonably centralized in that it uses a delegated proof of stake, and effectively you're voting on the block producers. But again, like, you know, it's no more decentralized than systems that we're currently used to for things like government, and governments generally work reasonably well as long as they don't have lobbying involved. Right? And so in theory it's not the ideal solution, but it's a good solution. It's a solution that allows us to actually start building decentralized applications like soon, really soon. I've answered engine. Do I plan to add funds? What cryptos on eToro will you buy more and when? I don't plan on adding any funds to my account. I will continue to trade with what is on there for the time being. I have no plans upcoming to add any funds. So yeah, I mean, what cryptos on eToro will we be buying more and when? I mean, I'm still really hoping that they buy EOS, because I want to buy EOS on behalf of my copiers. I really do. It's actually my biggest holding right now. And Ugly Horse is going to hate that, but it is. It's my biggest holding, and it's been performing incredibly well. And to be fair, interestingly, Ugly Horse, in 2 months' time, we will know if you are right. We will know if EOS was just a massive scam. In 2 months, we'll know, because that's when the mainnet's released. But the mainnet release candidate is out now and is working, and people are building things on it. So, like, yeah, all we really need is the token exchange to happen between the ERC20 tokens and the EOS tokens. I've heard rumors that they're adding EOS. I don't know about Cardano. Like, they said to me ages ago that they planned on adding a bunch of new cryptocurrencies within the next 2 months, and that was like 2 months ago now. So I really hope they just add them soon. But I'm sure eToro has plans. I would like to see them adding stuff slightly more quickly. I remember a long time ago they said that the 1 billion market cap was their benchmark. You know, if that was still the case, then we would have a much larger selection than we do now. Basically everything in the top 20 or so. Yeah, so like even down to 23rd, 24th, 25th. So the top 25 currencies are all over $1 billion at the moment, at the low of the market. So really, they should be adding a lot of stuff. Obviously, they're not going to add things like Binance Coin, because it's effectively a competitor, or like KuCoin and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that they should and could add. Yeah, maybe Chelsea. Maybe. That could well be what they're waiting for with EOS. We don't need leverage on cryptos. I understand that your name is Max Leverage, but you can earn a decent amount, and leverage really does have the capabilities of absolutely fucking wrecking people. I've seen it happen to a lot of people, including good traders. Idea: invest from jaynemesis account into jaynemesis 2. What? So build in my hedging. I could do that. I mean, I think most people that copy me are already pretty hedged. I could do that though, I guess. I'd have to check with eToro because it would be a lot of money moving to copy it. And that would have a big impact on like the copy fund and stuff that's in there as well. So I would need to actually check with eToro if it's even capable of handling that much money going through a copy of a bunch of copies. Like it would break a lot of stuff. I also kind of think it's a bit unfair on the people that I'm copying though on that account, because if I build that in, then those people aren't getting anything from that because they're only copied by jaynemesis too. And all of the money is in jaynemesis. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not really gaining through like PI payments and stuff. And a lot of them are like blue star traders that are basically earning just like 20% spread rebate at the moment. So it would be nice to give them like a bit of money for doing what they do. So I prefer to allow people to look at that profile and decide if they want to copy bits of it. I'm not allowed to do that, Chelsea. What the heck is EOS DAC? I got 181 in my ETH address yesterday. EOS DAC is a decentralized autonomous community that is going to be pitching to run one of the block producers. So their idea is that they will pay out for the staff and costs for being a block producer, and then any profits they make beyond that will go back to the token holders of EOS DAC. They want to make effectively, they want a decentralized community in charge of one of the block producers for EOS. So that's what it is, and that's why they gave away a bunch of tokens via airdrop. Probably worth hanging on to, because I think the chances of them actually becoming a block producer are reasonably good. Have you checked out renewable energy coins, e.g. Power Ledger, Solarcoin, and WePower? Yes, yes, and yes. I am invested in Power Ledger. Yes, I'm invested in Power Ledger. I loved Solarcoin when it first came out. It was a really long time ago. It was one of the first, like it was in the early wave of ICOs, like really early wave. In fact, I don't even think they did an ICO. They just kind of started mining it. So like I was really hype about it at the time. Since then, it's not really done much though. So it's not one that I'm currently looking at. There is actually a project that I will show you on screen now. If you're into your renewable coins, then this is one that I'm genuinely quite excited about. That I met in London, and they're called Zero Carbon Project. You can see I've been on their website before, zerocarbonproject.com. And yeah, I think these guys have got a very, very good chance. I met a few guys from the team. They're very experienced, 20 years working in the industry. And yeah, I think they've got an amazing chance. And they said that their goal is to turn their goal is basically to make clean energy more affordable than any other alternative through utilizing the cryptocurrency. Basically, it's really pretty exciting. So worth checking out if you haven't had a look. Take a look at this. Super cool. Don't know who asked that and if you're still watching, but yeah, good question. And I mark it as green because Jesse stopped. Oops. I'm failing at turning it green in my thing. Oh, I've done the wrong shade of green. Oh well. So yeah, that's a project that I really like. Which traders are you following and are thinking about adding to J2 account? Let's go and have a look at jaynemesis 2. I'm going to check my portfolio quickly first. We've dropped we've dropped like most of the gains we made yesterday today, which is a bit sad. Spotify's held up pretty well. That's basically stayed the same since the start of the day. Potentially a good opportunity to take some profits from cryptos once they've gone on their next little rally, once they've gone on their next little jaunt, and put a bit more into some of these different companies. Because of course earnings season is around the corner, so I think a lot of these should still do pretty well. Disney's held up quite well as well. Okay, let's look at jaynemesis 2. So here is I guess that's the last thing it commented on. Here is my portfolio on here. I actually added a few more funds yesterday to buy some more crypto on this account just because it was cheap. And this is the account that I add funds to. So yeah, so I've added this guy recently with a very small amount. He was someone that I was on the fence about copying, and so far he's doing okay. He's doing okay. He's basically where he was when I started copying. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to order by profit and loss. So yeah, you can see the guys I copy: Mr. Thor, Good Going, KT, Alex. There's a few guys in here that are a bit more risky, like this guy that I took a bit of a punt on. Like he's not super well known yet. Same with Juriz, although he's been growing super rapidly. Vix Gold, when I copied her, I think I was like her 9th or 10th copier. So yeah, but in terms of like who I'm looking at, I do have a watch list that I don't really maintain as much as I should, but I have a people to copy watch list, and you can see a bunch of different traders on here that I've been kind of looking at. So this guy is someone that's pretty interesting to me. This guy's kind of interesting. I like Zach. Zek. He's got really deep knowledge, but recently hasn't really been translating it into gains. But he's a pretty safe trader. Certainly someone that I would trust. Like if there was a drop or something, to take good actions. Like he's studied it a lot, and you can tell he actually does some videos on YouTube. And yeah, I think he's underrated, but like he's been consistent the past 2 years. So, but he does invest in XRP, so on the fence about that. But yeah, there's a there's a lot of good people in this list that I would consider. I don't think I've considered this guy anymore. I went off him when I started really looking at his crypto trades. I don't know if he's still heavy on crypto. No, he seems to have shifted back to whatever he was trading in originally. But there was a period where he was like super focused on crypto and all of his trading was in crypto. But it seems that he's kind of dialed that in a bit. So he may be one to look at again, actually. Because again, like, really nice to see people trading different stuff. In fact, he's doing better than I thought he was. So I'm glad I checked. I recognize that name. I'm sure I followed him. People to copy. Ah, yes, I remember this guy. Yeah, he's been doing pretty well as well recently. I think I read his bio and it slightly put me off. What did I read in his bio that put me off? Oh yeah, he kept he kept mistyping drap down instead of drawdown, I guess. But yeah, I mean, more power to him, man. Like, it's really cool to see people from Argentina being successful on here because they've got a lot of currency problems as well. Makes sense if you're in Argentina to be using eToro. Yeah, Chris MB's in the list. There's a bunch of people in the list. Like, there's a lot of good people there, but you can't copy everyone. So you have to make decisions because you want to copy people with decent amounts of money. So in that account, my jaynemesis 2 account, most of my copies I started with $5,000. So you can tell pretty easily how big my overall portfolio size is because $5,000 is like 4.75% of the account. So there's a good amount of money in that account now. But like, yeah, that's the thing. You want to copy people with a decent amount of money. So my smallest copy at the moment is this guy with $1,000. And I don't think I would ever copy anyone with less than that at this point. For me, obviously, if you don't have that kind of money, then you're going to have to copy people with like $400 maybe. I'd try and avoid going lower than that. But no, but you can't copy everyone. So, oh yeah, you did tell me about him in Discord. I remember seeing it. He was also mentioned in the thread that I made the other day. I've not heard of Tea Food. That's a really weird sounding coin. I wouldn't really want to put a price on all of the coins for the end of the year. Bitcoin, which is kind of I guess the average for the market, or like the stable one for the market. I put a price on of between $40,000 and $55,000 for the end of this year, and I still think that's pretty accurate. I would put Dash at over 2,000. I'd probably put Ethereum at over 2,000. Litecoin, Ripple, some of the others that are a bit more difficult. I think we will probably see Stellar at around $2. I think there's a decent chance of seeing XRP hit maybe $4 or $3.50, somewhere in there. But it's difficult because the especially the environment there can change a lot, like depending on regulations. So because like Ripple's been trying to like push for legislation in the UK that's favorable towards them and unfavorable towards some of the other cryptocurrencies. So like it depends. So there's a lot of people lobbying in different countries to try and get laws made in certain ways and regulations to regulate in different ways. And obviously Ripple is like, oh, only allow cryptocurrencies that are run by big trustworthy companies like us, sort of thing, because they don't want the additional competition. On the flip side, you also have people from like Bitcoin communities and stuff saying, hey, don't do anything, or like telling them to be more wary about projects like Ripple. I still haven't researched ontology. I need to do it. I'm sorry. First thing I would say, dreadable, is that eToro is safer than you probably think it is. eToro, you look it up online and you see like referral links everywhere and stuff. I've been to their offices. When I was there, they actually had a bunch of investors there who were looking to invest in the company. And obviously they raised $100 million recently in Series D funding at a good price as well, which is important. eToro are really, really pretty safe, to be honest. I think in terms of a platform that offers the same sort of functionality as eToro, you're not really going to find one this good at the moment. There's nothing else out there that's this good at the moment. For stocks and stuff, I'm sure there's probably some options out there, but I don't really use any of them. Like I use eToro for everything. eToro is regulated in Europe. It's regulated in the UK. It's regulated in a handful of other countries, I believe. You know, the cryptos that they have there are real cryptos that are kept in cold storage. They do plan on adding wallets. I think they're mainly just waiting for like regulatory clarity and stuff because obviously they are regulated, so they have to be super careful about it. But you know, I saw them working on it when they're over there. They run a blockchain investment like startup incubator type thing over in Israel as well. They only launched that recently or announced it recently. Yeah, I genuinely like eToro is real coin or CFD is short. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned with it honestly, unless you're putting a really substantial amount of money in. I mean, you know, you've seen how much money I've got in there. Like, I've got a lot of money in there. Like, approaching $150,000. That's a lot of money to have on a website, right? but I think it's pretty good. Do I think eToro will float on a stock exchange? You know what? I wouldn't put it past them. Actually, I wouldn't put it past them. They are getting very, very big now. Like you've got to think about it. If they got a funding round of $100 million, what does that leave their valuation at? It's got to be pretty high, right? I don't know how likely eToro are to sell more than 10, 20%, 30% maybe of their shares at this point. But but I would imagine that the chances of them selling that much when they're this successful is pretty low. So their market cap is getting high, like higher than most cryptos. 800 mil for eToro. Is that actually their market cap? Or their valuation based off the last investment round? I haven't looked, I'm purely guessing. But that's in the kind of region that I would imagine it to be. I'm pretty sure that they're basically at the level of becoming a billion dollar company at this point. Remember, eToro are by users the second largest exchange for crypto, the second largest place to buy crypto in the world, behind Coinbase. So something worth remembering. You know, they've got like 9 million users now, roughly. A lot of people. Oh, there you go. Cool. Plans to use the finance to fund an eastward expansion. Huh. Wonder if that means like China, India. Interesting. I don't remember seeing any article that said eastward expansion before. That's interesting. I saw them talking about like investing it in blockchain and a few other things, but they've actually been pretty like hesitant to say what they're investing it in. Yeah, I noticed that as well. Ugly Horse. Ugly Horse, are you on the Discord? Because you should be. Even though I know you're like really hardcore on your opinions. Like, it's like you're not certainly not a dumb person. So like, it would be valuable for you to be on the Discord if you're not. Even though we disagree on EOS, maybe one day you will be convinced after the token swap happens and the tokens are actually worth something. Maybe then. Currently live in a stable country where crypto is not the topic of conversation as much as it should be. There is very little financial regulation in the country. Either, in your opinion, what opportunities do you think there is to service or make money out of getting people into crypto? I think it's interesting. Like, I think crypto as an investment product is going to work better in countries like that. I mean, look at the US and the UK, and look at the demographics of eToro. Most of the people that are investing in crypto are people that have some disposable money that they want to save up, and they think crypto is a good way of doing it, right? So packaging that up and making it nice and easy for people is a good way of doing it. I mean, honestly, you could probably make a bunch of money just by using eToro's affiliate program and getting people to join via your link. As crazy as that sounds. And like just teaching them about it and stuff. But I mean, like, there's loads of money to be made in like education and stuff. Realistically, the best way if you want to actually make money in blockchain is to become a developer. If you're a developer and then you just go look at projects that need developers, they're paying out the nose for them. So, but like, there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, I personally think that we should be focused on the other countries first. There is clearly an obvious use case out in places like Venezuela and stuff like that, and I think that's where we should be focused. Like, actually helping give those people a currency that's usable. They do pay dividends, yeah. I'm pretty sure that was a really recent change as well. Someone else spotted it the other day and linked it to me, and I was like, what? But I've said for a long time that, like, eToro used to use CFDs because they weren't big enough to warrant using stocks. They're big enough to warrant it now. Like, I just said how much the company's worth, and you can imagine how much money is on there. Like, I manage $20 million on my own. Good Going also manages around $20 million. Like, I think if you added up all of the Green Star copy traders, there's probably $100 million under us alone. So in total on the website, they must have over $1 billion on the website of other people's money that's being invested here, there, and everywhere. So they're big enough to warrant, real stocks. They're rich enough to afford to do it as well. And of course, it makes things better, like regulation wise as well, for like compliance and stuff. It means they can enter different markets because CFDs aren't legal everywhere. So honestly, it wouldn't surprise me for them to see them go further down that route. But it does seem like they've been trying to do it on the hush hush without anyone noticing. But people like Ugly Horse are on there checking it out. Yeah, the spreads are getting a little bit more unreasonable. They definitely need to do something about that. Like, because like trying to actually day trade on something like Bitcoin is very difficult now. I have EOS on Binance. How do I get airdrops and stuff from it? So Binance is one of the best exchanges actually if you want to store your money on an exchange to use. They've proven some resiliency against hacks, and they've partnered with EOS and said that they will be taking part in the official like token swap. So you could just leave your tokens there. Airdrop wise, I believe some of the bigger projects like EOS DAC, for example, have partnered with a few exchanges to make sure that they can get their tokens to the people on those exchanges. But it is like a case by case basis. So if you really want to make sure that you get every single airdrop and whatever, then you should be storing it on your own wallet with where you control the private key, because the private key is effectively what those airdrops are attached to, right? It's actually your Ethereum wallet at the moment. Any airdrops that are taking place at the moment, because it's an ERC20 token. So yeah, that's what you really want to be doing, is maybe using something like my Ether wallet or something like that. But even something like Exodus, in theory, you'll be getting the airdrops. You just need to use the private key somewhere else, like export the private key and then go somewhere else to actually claim those tokens. Just make sure you don't tell anyone your private key. But if you feel uncomfortable doing that kind of stuff, then your best bet is to stick with Binance for now, because you'll still get some of the airdrops. You won't get all of them, but you should get a few, because Binance are pretty hot on that kind of stuff. I don't know when there's going to be wallets. I mean, Yoni Asher said last year that he expected them to be done, by like the end of the year. So they're pretty late on it now. But as I said, I suspect it's all to do with regulations. Because some of the wallets will have like some complexities and like integrating them and stuff, but not the cryptos that they have on eToro at the moment. All of those are pretty simple. Yes, you still have to register your EOS. Even if you're on Binance, you should still I guess actually you can't with Binance because you don't have the private key. And Binance is partnered anyway, so you should be safe. But if you're storing it anywhere that isn't an exchange, then you should be registering it with EOS via the website. The same also applies to a bunch of different airdrops as well. Like you have to go and actually register to your address and stuff for them to give you the tokens. Yeah, that's fair enough, Ugly Horse. It's a risk I've taken. And actually, when I first invested in EOS, I actually planned on taking it out before then, and just not benefiting from the potential rise on the day of the launch, and then just buying it back afterwards once I know if it's secure or not. That's genuinely what my original strategy when I first got into EOS was, because I was so skeptical. And I got in. I really did dip my toes in, but the further I've dug into it and learned about the community and met people from the EOS team, the more I trust them. Maybe it's misplaced trust, but hopefully not, because I'll be very upset if it is misplaced. I think it will be. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think you're going to see a massive dump of EOS just before the token launch of people that are concerned that it's not going to happen, or that they won't follow through. And then I think the next day it's going to rally by 200% when they actually do follow through with it. Unless they don't, in which case that's not good. Even though I trust them more, I'll probably still move some funds out of EOS just for when they do it, because again, it is a risk, and I don't really want to risk my largest crypto position on that. So I would probably maybe take 20% out or something, or 10% out at least, just so I don't feel absolutely terrible if it does happen, but I don't think it will. Do I trust the EOS team more than the Ether team? It depends what for. I mean, they're offering very different things, right? Like the main thing that I need to trust EOS on right now is that they will follow through on the token, whereas Ethereum's already done that. So they have more of a track record. So obviously, I trust them more. And people like Vlad and like if you even just look at how long they've taken, given like discussions on sharding and things, like it's the sign of people that are doing their research and making sure they do a good decision. Same as Bitcoin, they've become more conservative as they've got further and further into the project because they can't afford to fuck up. There's too much money on the line. But at the same time, that can cause a lot of stagnation, and we've seen how delayed Casper is. And I remember them first talking about switching to proof of stake in 2016. I think it's the first time I heard it. Start of 2016, I think. And it's been 2 years, and we haven't really got anything to show for it yet. There's still no like solid details on exactly how it's going to work. We know that it's gonna. I mean, even the stuff we do know isn't like 100% certain. Like the gradual transition from proof of work to proof of stake. Same with the work on Plasma and the work on what's it called? Their version of Lightning Network that I've forgotten the name of, which is basically identical to Lightning Network. Yeah, like they've just slowed down a lot, and it's bad because we need DApps, and their platform is just not workable for DApps at the moment. Like the code is good and stuff, but you can't. There's only so much you can do at the moment. I think that Ethereum is very, very threatened. I think if EOS's launch actually goes as planned onto the mainnet, then Ethereum's in big trouble, and EOS will move up into like third place on CoinMarketCap. Which, by the way, was my prediction for the end of the year, the end of 2018. I think that EOS will be in the top 3 cryptocurrencies, surpassing Ripple. Yeah, decentralized networks are inherently unscalable, which is why there is concessions that have been made for projects like EOS. It's just decentralized enough to make people comfortable. Eventually, I'm sure someone will find solutions that get it to the level that we need it to be. I've been telling eToro to list EOS for a very long time. Interestingly, regarding the bull trend in cryptos, I think we've kind of seen as far as it's going to go for like this week or so. It needs to settle down a bit. Like we can't keep having these like insane bull runs that are followed by even more insane bear runs. And as the markets get more liquid, that will happen as investors wisen up and calm down a bit. It will happen. But yeah, I think we're on a steady bull rally that, in theory, should last for the rest of the year for the most part, minus any drama that happens politically. I think Lightning Network will be an overall plus for Bitcoin massively. Like, you're not going to see payment channels being used absolutely everywhere, especially not to begin with. But as we move to the point where we have always online, always connected devices, and they don't really need to store much on the blockchain, like, there's really not that much reason that there would be any problems. And to be clear, you don't both have to be online with Lightning Network all of the time. You only need to both be online when you want to add another transaction into that payment channel, because you still have the signed copy of the last known state of that channel, and you can use that to close the channel at any point, as can the other party. So, like, you don't need them to be online all the time. I talked so much about EOS that it's gone to the moon on Binance. That's good because it means it's gone to the moon in my wallet as well. And as I said, it's my biggest position. Let's go on CoinLib. I was gonna open it, but then I realized I already had it open. Yeah. Next up, Bitcoin Cash. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Cardano overtake Litecoin quite soon as well. Again, Litecoin's just in this awkward position where no one really knows if it's useful or not yet. My top 5 favorite cryptos at the moment. It depends. Do you mean in terms of profit or in terms of like actual projects? Because they are different. There's a lot of crossover, but they are different. Everyone on the stream bought a bit more EOS today. Even Ugly Horse is like, I'll buy one just in case. Put $10 in it. You never know. I'll talk about. I haven't forgotten your question, Greywind. I will answer it about Stellar in a moment after this is being clarified. Both. Okay, so my favorite projects in terms of actual projects. Number 1 is EOS. I'm going to give you a hint here, right? EOS is number 1 on both lists. Okay. Number 2 is, for my favorite like actual project, is Augur. I'm super hyped about Augur because there are so many potential use cases for it beyond just betting, right? So Augur is a decentralized prediction market. It means that you can basically buy shares in the outcome of an event, and you can pick whatever the event is. So you could say, what's the price of IOTA going to be in 6 months' time? And then people can buy shares in, it's going to be this price, or it's going to be this price. And then the price that it's actually at is the thing that wins, right? And you can set all sorts of different rules around it. The whole thing is decentralized. Super, super, super cool. But what people don't realize is that there's loads of really cool implementations that you can do using that technology. For example, something like home insurance. You can literally have people, insurance companies, bidding on your house's insurance, right? So you put your house insurance thing onto the decentralized market, and you say, this is my house, these are the contents, this is where it is, these are like the floor plans and everything else that needs to go with it, this is the valuation. And then you say, how likely do you think it is that something's going to happen to it, right? Or you can do something similar to that, like, how much should I have to pay for insurance? And then people bet on the outcome, and what you end up with is the market deciding the best rate to give you, and insurance companies can literally decide, like, if it's worth it or not based on that information, and it flips everything on its head. Instead of you going out to insurance companies and trying to find a good price, the insurance companies come to you and offer you the prices that they are willing to give, buying shares on the outcome that nothing bad will happen to your house. So, like, it's super, super cool cool stuff that happens there. Obviously, betting is like the big one. You know, who's going to win the Champions League this season? There's a few other really cool things as well, like polling and effectively like consultancy work for like governments and things. So you can throw out a question that's like, you know, what are the chances of the ice caps melting by 2020? And the people who are experts on it will go and put their money down on the line, and you know you can actually get some useful predictions out of them betting money on it, right? Because they wouldn't bet their money on it unless they're pretty sure it's going to happen. So scientists will go out of their way to go and bet on that because they can make money on it. So actually, it helps science pay, which is also really, really cool. If your science is good, then you get proven correct, and if you are proven correct within a set time period and set parameters, then you earn lots of money. That was a really long explanation, but I really like Augur. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that was a bit boring. Hopefully I explained it well. But there's loads of other things that you can do with it outside of that. Other projects I really like that aren't necessarily as exciting. I really like Shitcoin. Shitcoin is literally just decentralized cloud storage. And you can like stream videos from it. They've done recently. I'm hoping that they move fully into streaming, so you have the ability to actually like live stream things utilizing their network and things like that. That would be really, really cool and really sweet. You know, it's got redundancy built in, always online functionality and stuff like that. Really, really awesome. Very secure. And most importantly, a lot cheaper than things like Dropbox. So Shitcoin's probably number 3. Number 4 would probably be Golem, which is the same as Shitcoin, but for CPU and GPU power. Exactly the same thing. You can rent out your spare GPU power on your PC for money. In Shitcoin, you can do it for drive space. There's Dive for that. I will ask you about that after I've finished my list. So I'm left with one more position left. What do I really like the idea of? It's difficult. There's a lot of really cool things being worked on, but I think decentralized marketplaces and decentralized exchanges are both up there. There's no real projects that stand out to me super at the moment as like a big leader in either of those two areas. So instead I'm going to go with something else, but like that's like we'll call that an honorable mention to people that are working on those kind of projects. So the last one will be Poet, which is effectively a way of intellectual property rights management on the blockchain. So you can go there and like effectively say, hey, I made this song. This song is my property. If this song is seen elsewhere, you know, it's my property. And you can effectively put out like different licenses on it to different people, and you can give people permissions to use whatever it is that you've put on there, which is really, really, really cool. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, again, there's loads of other really cool things that I'm looking forward to, like social media networks. DTube and Steam are good starts, but I think they've got a long way to go. But I think that, you know, a decentralized Facebook is going to be amazing when it happens. But you know, we need more scalable infrastructure first, and some like a couple of years for people to really work on it. In terms of best for profit, I think the best for profit this year are probably going to be Monero, in no particular order because it's difficult. Well, EOS is first, but after that, no particular order. Monero, Cardano, Stellar. What else is there? Monero, Cardano, Stellar. What else can do really well this year? I think Nano's got a really good shot at doing well. Managed to survive a big hack. I mean, I actually think that Augur could do really well as well, to be honest. But it depends on uptake and marketing and stuff. Like they've done a pretty bad job of showing off their project to people. It feels so far. Definitely feels like there's a lot of people invested in Augur that are just passionate about the idea. But I think it's got really good potential if it works. Like you've just heard me list some of the use cases. So if it works the way it's meant to, then that will be pretty big as well, and we could see that shoot up, you know, a lot. Crazy Frank, yes and no. Like it could drop a little bit, but it's at the end of the day, it's going up for a reason, and that's that there's a release candidate for EOS now, and we're getting closer to the release of it, and there's loads of airdrops that have started, so people are getting excited. They want to make sure they get some of the infrastructure. So I'm going to answer the question of the guy that I keep forgetting. I'm really, really sorry, Greywind, if you're still watching. You asked about what do I like on Stellar. I'm actually going to flip that on its head and tell you what I dislike about Stellar. What I dislike about Stellar is the amount of coins they have in reserves. It really frustrates me when I see projects do this. I just don't think it's necessary. If your project is really that good, then if your project's really that good, then you shouldn't need to keep these massive reserves. Like, the community will help you when you need help if the project is good, and it frustrates me that Ripple and Stellar are both guilty, and a bunch of ICOs are guilty of just keeping too much money to themselves, and their excuse is they'll use it to help incentivize people to join the network and effectively buy partnerships and stuff. But I mean, even Verge has just proved that if you really need help buying a partnership, they will do it. People are that crazy that they will do it without any good information. Jesse is calling his breast, which is quite weird. He's got a fan held up against his boob, basically. His moob. Anyway, thought that was a bit of a divergent thing to say. But that being said, I guess there's another bad thing as well, which is the consensus mechanism is much to be desired. Both XRP and Stellar still struggle with scaling in terms of staying decentralized, right? They're not very decentralized. They're, I would say that Stellar is borderline decentralized enough because it kind of splits it into quorums, but whereas Ripple doesn't. But even then, it's just not that much. There's not incentives to run nodes on Stellar or on Ripple as well. So again, that's not great. We've seen the number of nodes for even Bitcoin has been falling steadily for some time, just because it takes up more and more resources, and people don't want to do it for free. So that's a problem I have with it as well. I much prefer models that actually incentivize people to help run the infrastructure. That's why I like Dash so much. But on the plus side, it is very, very useful. Like, a lot of people have been using ERC20 tokens to build like little currencies and things, and actually Stellar is better suited to a lot of it. Like, you can do XRP ledger is decentralized. Decentralized-ish. There's a lot of problems with that. I mean, Ripple as a company are in charge of the default list of nodes that are used, right? And currently they are like 30% of that list, and their best friends are like the remaining like 70% for the most part. Yeah, that's what I was coming to. Like, Stellar and Ripple are actually both quite good for building little currencies on top of. They're good for crowdfunding. They're good for like really basic tokens that don't need like something special. Like, if you just want to make a token to be used in the city of Cambridge, and you want to call it Cambridge Coin, and you just want to make sure that there's a certain number of them, and then just distribute them to people, then those are actually really good networks to do it on, and it's easier to a certain extent than Ethereum, and of course it can handle better volume than something like Ethereum currently. So I think actually Stellar's going to benefit from this quite a lot recently. I've seen more interest in cryptocurrencies like NEM and Stellar, which have the capabilities of decent like asset and currencies built on top of their infrastructure. So those are some of the things I like about Stellar. I don't think that Stellar is necessarily, or Ripple is necessarily something that's still going to be here in 5 years' time or 10 years' time. But they are very useful at the moment. They're very useful at the moment. My problem, as always, as I said, is It's just about decentralization. I just feel like they're both slightly towards being centralized, and Ripple even more so because it's got a for-profit company there, and I just don't think that the incentives are really lined up for them. I hope that helps. Cool. Well, it's 6 o'clock apparently, and I don't know about you guys, but I really fancy like a pint. I really fancy a cider, a nice cold cider, because it's fucking hot. This room is like, it's basically a cooker. It's an actual furnace. Jesse's fine because he's tied his t-shirt up like a girl, like where they like tie it up so it's around the boobs. That's what he's done. And for those of you that don't know, Jesse is both hairy and overweight, so it's quite. He would go so far as to say fat. I am bald, really. I know it doesn't look it, but I am. Because of the lighting in this room, it always looks like there's like a line down the middle of my head, and it only grows on one side. But in reality, I'm quite evenly balding. Anyway, stop distracting me. I was about to leave and go have some cider, and then stare at the markets for a bit, because actually we've mainly just talked about crypto this time. But hey, it's been some like really enjoyable content. Actually, I enjoyed talking about Stellar and Augur and stuff. So that being said, thanks for watching. Weekly update will be out on Monday. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. Follow me on eToro, I guess. And see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone.